for Cancer. For those who feel more than what is ever said, for those who stay quiet for a long time, yet inside are rarely at rest. If you are a Cancer, you've probably grown used to people calling you too emotional. But very few truly understand this. What you carry is not excess emotion. It is a sensitive soul, one that listens to the world with the heart, long before the mind steps in. You sense the shift in a single glance. You hear the sadness hidden behind a sentence that sounds ordinary. And more often than not, you know when something is off, long before it actually falls apart. Not everyone is born with that ability. And not everyone who has it understands why they feel so different. This video is not here to explain who Cancer is. It exists to remind you why you were chosen. And from the very first lesson, you'll begin to see this clearly. Cancer's sensitivity has never been weakness. It is the sign of a deep, rare connection, one the universe gives only to certain souls. Cancer carries a very particular kind of energy, not loud, not showy. Yet the moment you are present, the space around you seems to slow down. People feel safer, breathing becomes easier. Words come out that have been held inside for a very long time. You may have noticed this already, that many times before you even ask, before you open your mouth, people begin to talk. Not because you are curious, but because around you, they don't need armor. You are like a house without a sign, no advertising, no invitation. Yet those who are tired somehow know how to find their way back. Cancer does not protect with big promises. You protect through full presence, through eyes that do not judge, through a silence that feels complete enough for someone to finally allow themselves to be weak. What you carry is not responsibility. It is instinct, an ancient instinct, deep and familiar, as if your soul has done this before, a very long time ago. There are moments when you don't understand why you are always the one others lean on. Why, in someone's most unsteady hour, your name is the first that comes to mind. You didn't choose that role. The role found you. Because Cancer carries the energy of a shelter, a place where people pause when the rain becomes too heavy, a place where silence is allowed, no matter how long it lasts, because waiting still exists there. You are used to carrying the emotions of others, so used to it that sometimes you forget the weight you're holding. You place the needs of those you love first. You worry about their safety before you consider your own peace. Not because you don't feel tired, but because your heart responds before reason has a chance to speak. And that is exactly what makes Cancer both deeply strong and deeply vulnerable. There is a truth very few people ever say to you. The universe sees this. It sees every time you stayed when others walked away. Every time you swallowed your own feelings to keep peace in the room. Every time you became shelter while quietly needing protection yourself. This kind of love is not overlooked. It is recorded on a different level, not with praise, but with silent protection. You were born to hold the rhythm of the emotional world. When life becomes too fast, too cold, too harsh, Cancer's energy reminds people how to slow down, how to stay, how to care without conditions. That is why tired souls are drawn to you. Those who have wandered too far from themselves. They don't come to take from you. They come because your energy reminds them that safety still exists. Of course, you are not always met with the same care. Sometimes you give more than you receive. Sometimes you stay too long in relationships that know how to lean, but not how to support. Yet, this never takes away your worth. It simply reminds you that a Cancer heart must learn to protect itself with the same gentleness it gives to others. And when you begin to realize this, a subtle shift occurs. You remain a place of refuge, but not one anyone can enter without awareness. You still protect, but no longer at the cost of your own peace. Your energy grows quieter, deeper, and in that stillness, the universe's protection becomes clearer. Those who no longer belong drift away on their own. Healthier connections begin to arrive. Cancer's story does not end with protecting others. It continues with learning that you too deserve to be held. And when your heart begins to believe that, another layer of energy opens, lighter, brighter, as if an unseen presence stands behind you, quietly reminding you that you are not alone. And from here, a different kind of strength begins to speak. Not loud, but deep enough to carry you much farther than before. Cancer's faith is quiet. It doesn't need to be proven. It doesn't ask for validation. It lives like a small flame, buried deep inside, still glowing, even when everything outside has grown cold. You may feel tired. You may feel lost. You may carry wounds you don't even know how to name. Yet somewhere far beneath all of that, there is a feeling you can't quite explain. A knowing that this isn't the end. Cancer doesn't believe because life has been easy. You believe because your soul has walked through enough darkness to understand that darkness is not the final destination. This faith doesn't come from logic, it comes from instinct. A soft whisper inside that says, breathe a little longer, stay a little longer, trust a little longer, and even when the path ahead isn't clear, you keep moving. There are days when you feel you've given too much, days when your heart feels heavy, as if it's carrying the weight of the world. You may grow quiet, you may pull inward, you may not want to explain to anyone what you're feeling. But even in those moments, that faith does not go out. It doesn't force you to be strong. It simply stays, like a gentle hand placed at your back, just enough to keep you from collapsing. Cancer has a rare connection to what cannot be seen. You sense support before it fully appears. You feel something holding you each time you're close to letting go. And so often, just when you believe you've reached the very edge, life opens a small crack of light. A phone call at the right moment, an unexpected message, a person who appears without warning. This isn't coincidence. This is how your quiet faith clears the way. You don't ask for grand miracles. You only ask for enough peace to get through today. And that humility is what makes your energy different. Cancer's faith does not demand. It allows. It allows life to unfold in its own rhythm. It allows you to be weak without turning against yourself. It allows time to do what only time can do. You may have wondered why you've had to feel so much, why your lessons so often arrive through pain. But if you look closely, you'll notice that each time you rise again, your faith grows deeper, stronger. No longer naive, no longer blind hope, but a mature trust. A trust that says, no matter what happens, you will find a way to keep living without losing yourself. This faith does not protect you from heartbreak, but it keeps you from drowning in it. It helps you see that what's happening is not meant to destroy you, but to bring you closer to who you truly are. Cancer learns to believe even when there is nothing left to hold on to. And that is exactly why you are lifted in your most fragile moments. Some people believe when life is kind. Cancer believes even when nothing is certain. You believe in kindness, in recovery, in the idea that after every breaking, the soul learns how to rebuild itself stronger. And that belief doesn't just save you, it spreads. When you say, everything will be okay, others begin to breathe more slowly. The universe responds to this kind of faith with great subtlety, not with loud miracles, but with precise alignment, the right person, the right moment, the right circumstance. So you understand you were never forgotten. Things were simply being prepared in the way you needed, not in the way impatience demanded. And as you begin to realize that your faith is not endurance, but a quiet source of strength, you step into another layer of the journey. Here, your heart doesn't only believe, it begins to touch. It touches the pain of others. It touches wounds that haven't healed yet. And from that touch, something very special starts to emerge, soft, warm, as if you're being guided into a role your soul has been preparing for a very long time. Cancer does not enter someone's life with the intention to heal. You don't arrive with formulas or pre-written advice. You arrive as yourself, through your presence alone. And that is enough for something in the space to soften. Around cancer, people don't have to hold themselves together as tightly. They don't have to explain as much. They don't have to prove that they're okay. You don't ask many questions, yet you listen deeply. Not just to words, but to the pauses between them. Not just to behavior, but to what is trembling beneath it. An unnamed pain, a fear of being abandoned, an old wound that has never been touched gently enough. Cancer understands this truth. People don't hurt others because they are cruel. They hurt because they are hurting. And when you can see that, The way you stay with someone changes. You don't rush to fix. You don't rush to teach. You don't rush to pull them out of where they are. You simply stay, truly stay. And sometimes, that is the one thing a soul needs for an entire lifetime. There are moments when a single short sentence from you is enough to make someone cry. Not because the words were extraordinary, but because for the first time, they felt seen. An eye that doesn't judge, a slow, quiet nod, a silence that doesn't pressure. Small things like these, when they come through cancer, carry the weight of safety. A safety many people have been searching for their whole lives. You see the pain behind anger. You feel the fear behind coldness. You understand that some people don't need advice at all. They only need a place that won't hurt them further. And naturally, you become that place. Not because you are stronger than others, but because your heart is soft enough not to break what is already cracked. This ability to heal, however, is not always comfortable. There are days when you absorb too much, when you bring home emotions that were never yours. You feel exhausted without knowing why, sad without a clear reason. Because cancer doesn't just listen, you feel. You allow other people's emotions to pass through you. And that requires a tremendous amount of strength, even when you appear calm on the surface. Yet something beautiful happens in this process. Each time you help someone feel lighter, a layer of heaviness inside you is released. Each time you offer sincere comfort, a part of you is soothed as well. Each time you sit with someone else's pain without turning away, you learn how to sit with your own. Cancer's healing is never one-directional. It always comes back. You may not notice it right away, but over time, you begin to change. You feel lighter, deeper, less afraid of your own emotions. Old wounds no longer control you the way they once did. They become memories placed in the right position. And you start to understand this. The ability to heal is not a burden when you allow it to nourish you as well. Cancer does not need to be called a healer. You don't need a title. What you need is balance. When you learn to offer yourself the same gentleness you give to the world, your energy becomes clearer. You no longer feel drained by others. You no longer lose yourself in their pain. You become a flow, passing through, staying just enough, and returning to yourself. At the deepest level, cancer's healing power is not about what you do for others. It is about how you remain present with emotion, theirs and your own, without avoiding it, without denying it, without exaggerating it, just listening, just breathing together, and allowing what needs to heal to find its own way. When you begin to realize that your presence itself is a gift, you enter a very different state. You stop trying to save everyone. You stop carrying the responsibility to make everything better. You simply live in alignment with who you are, and that honesty creates the deepest impact of all. From here, cancer's journey expands. No longer just healing individuals, but radiating a very particular kind of emotional light. A light that doesn't glare, doesn't force, but is warm enough to reach the coldest places. And when that light begins to be recognized, you understand this. What you carry is not only meant to soothe, it is meant to guide, in your own way, quietly, enduringly. And when that light begins to spread, you start to realize it. It doesn't need to be named. It doesn't ask for recognition. It exists naturally, the way a room grows warmer when someone walks in without saying a word. Cancer doesn't shine through grand statements. You shine through a sense of safety that others only notice after they've been sitting with you long enough. There are spaces that feel tense before you arrive. People talk, but they don't truly listen to one another. They smile, but their hearts don't feel lighter. And then, you're simply there. The rhythm slows, voices soften. The distance between people shrinks just a little. Not because you did something special, but because your emotional light allows everyone to lower their guard. You carry a rare kind of presence. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need to be right. It doesn't try to become the center. You simply are, whole enough to remind others what it feels like to be themselves. Where there is loneliness, you don't rush to fill the silence with advice. You stay, and that staying becomes the answer. Where there is pain, you don't force strength. You allow weakness without shame. Where there is tension, you don't argue. You soften the space with the rhythm of your own breath. What's remarkable is this. Even when you're carrying pain of your own, that light doesn't disappear. It may dim slightly. You may feel like you no longer have the strength to hold anyone else. But the nature of that light doesn't depend on outer conditions. It rises from a deep place where your heart has learned how to stay with emotion without running from it. And because of that, even when you are tired, your gentleness remains. You may not realize it, but many people have made it through harder seasons simply because they once touched that light. A short conversation, a moment of shared silence, a presence without judgment. Things that seem small become anchors, keeping someone from letting go at their most fragile moment. The universe responds to this kind of light in very human ways, not with dramatic changes all at once, but with what arrives right on time. When you need it, someone appears. When you think you've lost your way, an opportunity opens. When you feel alone, a quiet signal reminds you that you are still being seen. Cancer's miracles are rarely loud. They arrive softly, just enough to help you take a few more steps forward. Over time, you begin to understand something important. This emotional light is not only meant to warm others, it's meant to reflect back to you, to show you where boundaries are needed, where rest is required, which connections truly nourish you. When you learn to honor that light, when you stop forcing it to shine endlessly, when you no longer let it be drained, you enter a different state, more mature, more at peace, less driven by the need to prove anything. A quiet steadiness begins to form inside you, not rigid strength, but gentle endurance. You no longer fear darkness the way you once did, because you know your light doesn't depend on circumstances. You no longer panic when things slow down, because you understand some processes can't be rushed. And in that moment, your light becomes a natural guide, not only for others, but for your own path as well. You keep moving forward not because you have to, but because something inside you still believes, still glows, still wants to live honestly with your own emotions. And when you walk that way, the world gradually responds with the same gentleness, not hurried, not loud, but deeply real. From that steady light, a deeper layer of the heart begins to open, a place where love is no longer conditional, no longer transactional. It becomes the most natural expression of how you exist in this world. And then, when every layer of defense has finally settled, when the light inside you no longer feels the need to prove anything, Cancer's love becomes unmistakably clear. Not loud, not asking to be named, yet deep enough that anyone who touches it knows instantly this is not something shallow. You love with the entire history of your emotions, with memories that once made you cry, with the moments you chose to stay when leaving would have been easier, with the wounds that taught you how to value another person's presence. Your love is not an experiment. You don't love to see if it will work. You love after understanding the cost of opening your heart. And once you open it, you never step in halfway. You bring your roots with you, family, memory, invisible threads that tie you to the past. You protect what is fragile, the things others let go of too easily. Not because you are weak, but because you understand the worth of what was built through real emotion. You've lived through enough moments of not being loved fully, enough to know how absence causes the soul to fold inward. And because of that, you don't choose shallow love. You choose to love deeper, more carefully. You love by staying, by remembering, by holding on. When you understand loneliness, you don't leave others alone in their feelings. You don't turn vulnerability into a burden. You turn it into a space where it can be held with care. Some people look at the way you love and think you give too much. But what they don't see is that this love is how you live in alignment with your soul. It doesn't make you smaller, it makes you whole. Because every time you love for real, you touch something very original inside yourself. A part that hasn't been hardened by doubt. A part that still believes people can treat one another with kindness, even when the world is not always gentle. The universe recognizes this kind of energy clearly. Not because it is perfect, but because it is rare. A soul willing to love without conditions in a world built on conditions is always protected in its own way. Not to spare it from pain, but to keep it from losing its essence after pain. When you give from sincerity, there are unseen forces behind you, quietly making sure your heart does not run dry. You become a place of refuge, not only because you choose to be, but because your soul carries the structure of safety. Around you, people can loosen their grip. They can be themselves. They don't need armor. Your energy works like a slow medicine. It doesn't make everything disappear at once, but it gives the nervous system a chance to rest. It gives the heart room to breathe again. Over time, Cancer's love becomes a form of emotional wisdom. You no longer love to be seen or validated. You love because it is how you connect to life itself. You understand that not every relationship lasts forever, but whatever is loved with honesty leaves a mark, and you honor that, without regret, without unconscious clinging. You keep only what is still alive. At the deepest level, your soul's mission is not self-sacrifice. It is to remind humanity that love can still exist without conditions. You were not born to carry the weight of the world. You were born to warm it in your own way. And when you live true to that nature, the road ahead no longer needs many guiding lights. The love you carry becomes light enough to keep you moving forward. Cancer did not come into this world to be more perfect than anyone else. You came to remind humanity of something ancient, something essential, something slowly being forgotten. That there are still hearts that know how to love for real, not to prove anything, not to win, not to hide fear, but to love because it is the natural state of the soul. If you have ever wondered why you feel so deeply, why things that seem small linger inside you for so long, understand this. It is not a burden. It is depth. And that kind of depth is not something everyone is built to carry. Don't doubt it just because the world has grown used to moving fast. Don't doubt it just because some people don't have the patience to stay long enough. Your mission is not to be strong in a loud way, not to lead from the front, not to brace yourself, just to prove your worth. Your mission lives in your ability to feel, to protect, to connect, to warm, in the way you enter a room and bring a sense of safety without saying a word. In the way you see what others are afraid to admit, and still choose kindness. The emotions you carry are not something to fix. They are tools. They are a compass. They are the language your soul uses to move through life. When you honor your emotions, you teach the world how to treat itself more gently. And that, even when done quietly, has immense value. There may be times when you feel out of place, different, as if no one truly understands the depth you live with. But remember this, souls like Cancer do not appear by accident. They arrive when the world needs to be reminded that love is still a force. Not loud, not flashy, but strong enough to keep humanity connected to its most human part. Keep being yourself. Don't shrink. Don't hide. Don't apologize for your depth. Because when you live true to that heart, you are not only walking the right path, you are becoming what many people somewhere are still quietly searching for.